I began Mass today by having each of us ask ourselves this question. Do I rely on my own wisdom or on God's guidance? I raise that question because Jesus refers to two groups of people in today's gospel: the wise and the learned, and the little ones. Let's just take a moment and look at both of these groups, the wise and the learned. They are the people who rely on their own intellect, status, or religious knowledge, often believing themselves to be spiritually superior. Their wisdom was human wisdom, which according to Scripture cannot grasp God's mysteries. They were self-reliant, proud, and closed to humility. When we look at the other group, the little ones, the term is not about age, but about spiritual condition. Whether if a person has humility, dependence, and openness to God. They spiritually discern truths revealed only to those whose hearts that are open and who rely on God rather themselves. So in short, the wise and the learned are those who think they already know God's secrets, while the little ones are those who recognize their need for God and are open to God's revelation. I also like to just say a few words about the celebration we had yesterday for our country. If you think about it, the same type of things can be said out about our founding fathers 250 years ago, who created the Declaration of Independence in 1776, when 13 colonies united to declare freedom from British rule, and setting the foundation for the United States of America as a sovereign nation. Celebrating our 250th year of existence as a country is not just about marking a date. It is a symbol of national identity and unity. I think we can add to this that our existence as a country was not totally dependent on human wisdom, but on God's presence and people's openness to God's help. I'd like to end this homily by sharing a story with you. When I finished my college years of seminary at St. John Vianney Seminary in St. Paul, Minnesota, the same college seminary that Carter is going to right now. Bishop Francis Ray at that time sent me for my first year of theology at St. Meinrad's in the southern part of Indiana. Father Kurt Stasiak, who was just a newly ordained priest at that time, now he serves as their abbot. He became my spiritual director. There was a student in my class. I don't think he liked me at all. I was a very shy person, and if we're standing in a group and discussing things, and someone said something that I was going to say, I said, well, I'm not going to say it because it's already been said. Well, he didn't like that I was just standing there saying nothing. So he kept talking, looking at me. Speak, say something. And I said, what I was going to say has already been said. Why say it again? Well, he hounded me and hounded me. Got to the point where I was on the verge of almost hating this guy. So one day I was going to the cafeteria, noticed that he was sitting over here. So I went and sat over here. Well, he got up and moved over by me. So I finally went to Father Kurt Stasiak, my spiritual director, and said, I don't know. I'm going to ask your help how to handle this guy. Well, we talked for quite a while. And he said, one thing I'm going to have you do is I want you, for the next 7 days, pray for him. And he says, I don't want you just saying a prayer for him, that I want you to sit a chair in front of you and picture him sitting there as you pray for him. And I looked at him and says, you gotta be kidding me. And he says, no, I want you to do this. So I did it. First night I sat the chair there in front of me, trying to picture him sitting there. And the more I tried to picture him sitting there, all those feelings that I had from him started boiling up. And I said, I just can't do this, Lord. And I stopped. And all of a sudden I heard these words, finish the prayer. So I started praying again. And I prayed the next day. And then when I got to the third day and the fourth day, things were starting to change. God was helping me to see him in a different way. In a way that I could tolerate him and be civil with him. What I was doing was relying on my own wisdom. And God says, you're doing it all wrong. You need to rely on my wisdom. So I want us to take home with us and think about this whole week, this question. Do I rely on my own wisdom or on God's guidance?